If you recall in a video I did the other day, and I'll put a link in the top, about the fuel tank sender, and I couldn't get the warning light to work for the low level fuel. When I was under the dash, I tested out the warning lights and noticed that when the light panel worked fine, but when I put it back on the car, I noticed that the glow plug light wasn't working. Now, it can be a fluke. I think I'm almost sure I saw it working when I started this car out when it was outside. So what I'm going to do now is just a quick test. I've got the battery hooked back up, and I've hooked one side of my leads up to the glow plug itself, so we can going to see if they're going to come on. But does the warning light come on, or is the whole circuit gone down? I'm not sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to now switch it on, and I'll put the multimeter there so we can see what we're doing. And let's turn the ignition on and see if we've got power to it. Yes, it's only 9 volts, but you can see we have got power. And there, did you hear the relay clicked off? But we've got no light on it. Strange, it clicked off very quickly. And you can see it's dropped down to nothing now. So the next step is to find out, does the light come on because of the temperature? Now it's about 20 degrees in my workshop, which is kind of warm, and it's like a, how do we say, there's a temperature sensor in that relay that allows it, if it's very cold it'll come on a little bit longer, but if it's warm, does it not put the light on? Because you see, these timers here have a preheat and a post heat to knock down the emissions. So when you turn your key on, even though the light goes out, the timer's still on, the relay's still on, just for a short time whilst it's starting up, so it doesn't get all smoky. So I've got an idea. I'm going to do this test again. I'm going to have to do some fancy editing, but I'm going to cool this down, this temperature sensor, this relay. I'm going to cool it down to see if the light comes on. Now there's an interesting experiment, and I'll tell you how I'm going to do it. I'll be back in a minute. One handy thing about living in Canada is it's got plenty of bloody snow. I'm going to chill it down. It sounds a bit bodgy, but it might work. Now if we leave that for a few minutes and find out if the light comes on, then there's nothing to worry about. So I wonder how long that would take. I'm going to try it now actually. Oh, damn wires everywhere. And nothing. Glow plug's working, look. Switched off. We heard a little click. So the actual glow plugs are working, but the warning light's not. I'm going to leave this for like 20 minutes and come back to this and see. We'll do the same test again with the snow on. So it's been about 15 minutes. I'm going to try this again. Nothing. There's no light on. So, next logical step, substitution. Before we start pulling wires out, we're going to put another one in that we've got out in my truck out in the yard. We're going to swap it over because I know that one works. And if that works, then it's just a defective unit and we'll have to get another one. But if it still doesn't come on, then we've got to trace a wire in. So it's Friday night, 5 o'clock, I've had enough. Let's check it out tomorrow. I've got here a working Land Rover glow plug relay, and just out of interest, I took the cover off. There is a big relay in there, obviously, and you can see how nice and clean it is. This looks almost brand new. But you can see here there's a chip in there. Now, when I get back upstairs, I'm going to have a look at that with a magnifying glass and read what it actually is and see if we can find the circuit for it. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? But there's all sorts of bits and pieces in there. You can see that. This is why they're so expensive. It's not just a relay. Obviously this must be some sort of a timer, where you can see the footprint of the pinouts at the back. It's more than just a timer. So, snap that back up, and we're going to change it over. So I've got the relay changed over. I've put the multimeter on. So obviously we've got the wire here going straight to the top of the glow plug on number 4 cylinder. I'm going to turn this on now, and we're going to have a look and see what happens. I'll put the battery on and then I'll see what happens. No. So, what's the conclusion? We've got a wiring problem somewhere. This is quite common in these Land Rovers. Oh, just wait a minute, I missed it to see if the relay was working properly. I'm sure it is. Yeah, there it goes. The battery's getting down a bit because inadvertently I left the doors open with the lights on last night. Yeah, so that's working. So we know the relay's working, but now we have to trace why there is no wire, no light on that warning thing. And it was working before. Now, just as a little sort of thing, once you start playing around with Land Rovers, and especially old ones like this, it's so easy to pull wires away and move wires out the way, and loosen the connectors, or if there's a connector that's a bit dirty but just to say making a contact, and then you move it a bit and then it won't make a contact, it throws everything out the window. And this is what adds on to jobs when you're doing things for Land Rovers. You do something, you'll sort of, like I say, inadvertently move something, then something else doesn't work, and this is it. It's all the time. It's all the time. If this was the wiring on this is extremely hard and brittle. So you can understand that when you start to move something, the wiring's so rigid that you could, it's almost like steel. It doesn't want to move all that much, so the connectors move rather than the wire. Do you get what I'm getting at? Anyway, I'm going to think of a way I'm going to test that light. Now, because the other day, and we tested out the white wire that comes from the ignition that goes to the low fuel light, it also piggybacks over to the warning light wire. Interesting. It goes to the bulb. So we know that there's power getting up to the bulb, to the instrument panel, because the light is on for the low fuel. So I'm thinking there's a wire that's got a bad connection between the bulb side, because we know the bulb's working, from the bulb side to that relay. I'm going to check it out. This is typical Land Rover and exactly what I was just saying about. When you start moving things and you start disconnecting stuff and moving things around, especially in the dash that's over 30 odd years old, you can disconnect things ever so slightly. Now, look what happens. Bulb's on. See? It's there. It's working. Works fine. What was the problem? The connector, you can see that, on the base of this capless bulb had come loose. This is one of the things about Land Rovers. It's so frustrating you know, like if I hadn't checked that, this would have gone out, and then the customer said, well, it's not working, it's not working, and it's understandable. But it's something I didn't really anticipate doing. I didn't touch that thing. But the moment of, and you guys out there, you'll all understand this. As soon as you start to move something, these little connectors shift. I don't know. It was working on the bench. We put the test lead on, and it was working. And then we put it in the car, and then it wasn't working. I don't know really what to say. I don't know what to suggest for these problems. I mean, I've taken the steering wheel off this 300 TDI because it's easier to work on, but it's old. You know, it's old. There's lots of potential problems in there, and this is the. Wait a minute. See if I can take this off. Plug off it, make it easy to get out. See, that there is a capless bulb, and it's in its little holder, and these tangs on the side here, these can be problems too. They all want a good cleaning up. Now I know you can spray chemicals on and things like this and contact cleaner, but nothing substitutes for a little bit of emery cloth and clean it up. Now I do say emery cloth rather than sandpaper, because sandpaper can leave a residue, you know, the little bits of flaky sand, whereas emery cloth or wet and dry paper, that's even better. Just give them a little rub and out they come, they're all nice and clean again, and they all work. But if you can see down here, wait a minute, if you can see here, these are a really common problem. These things here, the contacts, they just want that little bit of a clean. They look clean, but they're not super clean. And you can imagine after 30 odd years of electricity and electrons flowing here, there and everywhere, and dirt under the dash and pounding away. You know, this is why Land Rovers get a bad reputation for sort of reliability, especially the old ones. When you've got things like that, well, it could be anything. It could be actually an ignition wire that's playing up. You get my drift. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say, because you know, we do get a lot of problems with electrics on Land Rovers, but you've got to take into account their age. It's not because it wasn't rewired, it wasn't wired properly, it's just everything's old. What's the answer? I don't know. Wiring harness? Peace of mind, isn't it? But the right, I don't know. I think I have a 200 TDI harness in the shelf. But at £400 for a wiring harness for the dash, it's expensive. Could you put a used one in? I suppose you could do. But then again, you're putting something in that's old. A lot of people, whilst I'm rambling on about this, I did a bit of research to find out what was the problem for Land Rover wires and British car wires, especially on these older cars, going black in the middle. And you've seen it, when you bear off a wire, it's black. And some people say, oh, it's corrosion. Now, I did a little bit of research into this, and I opened up a wire right in the middle, you know, like bared off a piece of wire, cut it in half, right in the middle of the wiring harness, and there it was, black. Now, some people say it's bad grounds and things like this, but well, why would it be black right in the middle of the harness? So anyway, after a bit of digging around, I found out that these old harnesses with the old style PVC, you know, the insulation, actually made the wires oxidise, and that's what makes them go black. Like copper, usually we see copper, normally when it oxidises with water, it goes green. You get that green, horrible finish. But apparently the blackness is caused by the PVC, and I saw this on several websites in the United States too. They were having the same problems. of black wires, and they're a nightmare to clean up and solder. But you don't see it so much on newer cars. Funny that, isn't it? So who's right and who's wrong, I don't know. But it does seem feasible that these old cars, with the oxidation of the PVC, because if you've ever noticed, the wiring harness is rock hard. Now I can't remember if I've put this up. In fact, I think I'll add it into this video here of me taping up a wiring harness, and I'll show you how hard and brittle the harness is. I think I was going to do it as a separate video, but I think I'll tie it into this one if I haven't already put it up. So I think we've learnt a little bit there as well. You know, we're always on the learning curve. So now I can box this up, and I'm going to check it and check it and check it again, and then we'll take it for a drive. And hopefully all the little problems have gone. Until next time. Problem, isn't it? It's always a problem. Anyway, so I hope you like that. I'm trying desperately to make this Land Rover better, but by God, it's a cross to bear as this one. So we'll talk to you later. Bye. Before I fit the wiring harness back on this 300 TDI, I thought I'd give it a bit of a tidy up with some new tape. Now the thing is, a lot of people, like me for example, use regular sticky tape, black electrician's tape. But when you do a harness, it's not really the good stuff to use. It's supposed to have non-sticky, but we haven't got none. But anything's better than bare wires. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to quickly show you how to tape a harness up. So you do 2 or 3 wraps round at first, and then you start to pull down, whoops, at an angle, like that, look, and try and overlap as much as you can. Now it's important to I always try to keep the wire vertical, if you see what I mean, but after that it works out quite nice. Now this is an old harness, and as you can see, it isn't too flexible, but it doesn't take long, and you can make quite a tidy job. And well, as we used to say back in the old country, if it looks right, well, it probably is right. So when we come to the V, it's a bit tricky because I've still got this on the actual bracket for the engine, and then we just keep following it down. Modern day cars have got that plastic shrouding. This is making my life a little bit difficult, that pipe there, but like I say, just keep it at an angle, and once you get onto a roll it starts to look quite nice. And the idea is to get it nice and even, like a 50% overlap, and then away you go. Now we're going to come up to a junction here where there's some wires, so we'll just keep going. And if it doesn't look right, just go back and do it again. So we've got a junction here, so what we're going to do is pull those wires back over. You see this harness is just dry, and then just keep going on. So obviously this is a bit boring, but I guess you get the idea.